All right, Ryan, welcome, welcome. Brandon Vondera here. Today I've got my guest, Ryan Sherwood. He's a tattoo artist, and I'm going to ask him about all things tattoos. So, man, let's just get right into it. How are you doing today?
Good, man. I appreciate you for having me here.
Yeah, likewise, dude. I definitely appreciate you coming on and always trying to get the word out on artists and kind of what their story is, how they're going about it, and maybe some useful, information for the next artist. And, you know, across the disciplines of art, a lot of artists face similar challenges in starting up and breaking through, plateaus and, you know, just finding their own
Definitely.
success in their own little avenues. So, again, just super stoked to have you here.
Thanks, man. Thanks. Yeah, it definitely has been a journey.
Cool, cool. Well, give us a little insight right now into what you're doing. I know you're tattooing, but what does that entail? Like, where are you tattooing from, and what is maybe your style? Let's start there.
Okay. Right now I live in McKinney, but I work out in the colony out in it's kind of the DFW area, little outskirts of Dallas.
Sure.
Um I started out in San Antonio when it's been now 3.5 years. I'd like to say 2 years professionally, because
Yes.
there's some artists that start out, tattooing some friends out in the garage or out their mama's house. You
Yeah.
know. Those are the old days though. But now, as far as
Oh,
style goes, I before I ever thought about tattooing, what I'm saying, I would watch Ink Master and they were like, you have to be the best at all of them. You have to do, what I'm saying? So like, when I started tattooing, my first initial thought was I would see every artist like, oh, I'm good at traditional or I like Japanese or anything. And I'm like, I want to be the guy that you can come to any idea. It doesn't matter your idea. I can do it. I want to be able to do it. Um, I'm not saying that I'm like the best out there in the world or, because I know there's amazing artists.
yeah.
There's millions of artists out there. I just want to be the best at what I can do, as far as putting out the best work that I'm capable of doing for what you're wanting. So as far as style goes, if you look at my portfolio, it is all over the place because I love black and gray realism, creepy, weird, colorful, pastel colors. You know what I'm saying? It's all over the place because, like I said, I like to keep it open.
Sure.
You know.
Yeah. That's cool. That's cool. And so you mentioned 2 years professionally, 3.5 years kind of doing it. What was like some of the
hmm
impetus to get into it? Like, I know I've known you a little before and I've seen you draw pictures, but uh, did it come from a drawing place or what? How did you get
I
to tattoo?
mean, yeah, I know because when we met, I mean, that was in California, and I was actually DJing, and I was still DJing until I started actually tattooing. I saw my equipment and stuff. It's not like I never stopped, but as far as professionally, like, um, that wasn't as consistent as far as paying bills goes.
Yeah,
And at the time, I was doing weddings and stuff and events, and it kind of took the fun out of it for me.
yeah,
So I kind of was like, okay, I need to be more professional as far as settling down because I had a family at the time and was like, okay, let me get a real job, I guess, if you want to call it that. Not to say that DJing isn't a real job because you have to do a lot. There's definitely a hustle and grind that you have to put into, but um, I just wasn't willing to do it because it wasn't a passion again. Saying it wasn't. I kind of fell out of it at that time. It was already like 13 years into DJing, and
yeah,
so when I left it, I was, working at some loan office, giving out ridiculous interest rate loans. And oh my God, it ate my soul every day. And when this was like right when the pandemic happened, and so I was doing art always, what I'm saying, like drawing and spray painting and all that was always there, but never like, I mean, I sold paintings and I did drawings and logos and stuff for people, but it wasn't it wasn't going like I wanted it to. It wasn't moving as fast as I wanted it to go. It wasn't providing as far as like an income, what I'm saying? It was just more of like, yeah, this is what I do. And but no one, what I'm saying, buys paintings really anymore. No one's like, oh my God, let me throw a party because I want to show off this painting I just bought. Like no one does that anymore.
Yeah.
Unless you're super, super rich and then that painting's millions of dollars. But so I was like, man, let me switch gears because people put artwork on their body and they take that with them everywhere. It's always with them. So let me, and years ago I had messed around with me and my friends, like putting tattoos on people, and I know I mess people up. You know what I'm saying? Like really mess people up. Sorry.
Yeah.
Turn that sound off. I really mess people up. And good friends that now tattoos too. But
Okay.
no, like this was years and years ago, like talking 10 years ago. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to put this down. I don't know anything. I don't know anything. And so when COVID happened, I was working at the loan office and I decided, I was like, okay, I'm really going to learn this. So I picked it back up. I, messed around on my leg and I was like, okay, I kind of see some potential there. Let me put this back down and actually learn it. So in the past I did the research as far as getting apprenticeships, and there's so much involved as far as that. And like in my area at the time in San Antonio,
Yes.
there was not a lot of good shops, what I'm saying, or reputable shops that always change names, and that's not always a good sign, what I'm saying, if they're constantly having to change names. And
Uh-huh.
so I was just like, I'm not trying to associate with that my first go round. And so I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna make my own lane. I'm gonna go buy the licensing. I got the LLC and just literally did it legitimate, but was not in a legitimate spot at the time. You know what I'm saying? Like
Sure.
on paper,
You
yes,
had your stuff together.
but right. And so I was just learning, really just diving into everything I could as far as like the science behind the needles and inks and what it's actually doing to the body, not just like sitting there watching Ink Master and being like, oh, I'm gonna do that. Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could do that. No, definitely I spent thousands of hours of research watching repeated videos of just not really like techniques and trying to learn and pick up what they're doing, but just more of seeing consistencies across the board as far as what artists do, whether it was like products or brands or um, machines or anything like that. You know what I'm saying? Like I really just dove in on like maybe looking in the background, like, oh man, I see that. I see that. Like I see all
Mm-hmm.
of them use the kind of the same stuff. Okay, maybe I'll try that, and then it's more of like trial and error, what works for you. And so when I was doing that, I built up a little clientele. I would say like the first year was like 100 people. You know what I'm saying? I was like, man, this is actually
That's
okay. I can kind
significant.
of see this going.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, this, and this is all word of mouth. This isn't like, I mean, social media at the time, yes, but it wasn't like I was pushing real hard on social media because at the time I wasn't really in a shop. I wasn't trying to be like, I wasn't legitimate at the time. I was just like, hey, tell your friends. I'm
Yeah.
just starting.
Corey working.
Um, at the time I was working at the cash store, what I'm saying, at the loan office, and then doing that on the sides, going to their houses or, what I'm saying, just being mobile.
Yes.
Um, and so when when I met, like, okay, so let me reverse that, I guess. So when I was talking about tattooing, I was previously married, and she was really negative about like, um, I don't see you doing this. We don't have the time. How are you going to make the money? Like, no, so it really was like a real damper on that dream. So I was like, okay. And then long story short, we didn't end up, being together very long after that. So me working at the cash store, I actually met, my new wife now, what I'm saying? And she was like so gung ho for like, follow your dream. You could do it. Like, why
Yeah.
don't you just do it, do it, do it? And I was like, man, that was the push I needed as far
Yes.
as let me get to, where I want to be. And so after building up that clientele, now jump forward, we find out that she's pregnant and she's like, I want to be with my family. They live, in McKinney, area, whatever. I want to come out there. And so I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to start all over again because again, I just built up this clientele and I'm moving a couple hours away. Not everybody's gonna be traveling like that, especially for some tattoos that I was doing at their house, and I was like, okay, well, worst case scenario, I'm just going to get a regular job and then, try to do it all over again. And um, it was like 2 weeks after being up here, and I'd reached out to a shop, no response. And then somebody randomly texted me, and I was like, they were like, I heard you're looking for a shop. And I was like, what? Like, what? How did you, like, who is this? And I was like, I am who. And they're like, yeah, come by, come check it out. Let me see your work. And then, we'll go from there. And then I was like, okay. And so, yeah, Carrie, the owner of Cowboys Tattoos, like I went over there and she was like, oh, your work's great. If you want to start, today or tomorrow, I was like, yeah, awesome. Thank you, And so when I left and I came home, I was kind of feeling guilty because I was like, man, I didn't want her to be under the assumption that I am like a technically trained, apprenticed artist, what I'm saying, went through the initial background of everything. And so I reached out to her and I was like, hey, I don't want to come under false pretenses. I'm not trying to lie or anything, but I do want to let you know I'm not a technically trained tattoo artist. Like everything you see on social media is real. That is all real clientele. All my licensing and everything is real. It's
Yeah.
just technically was not in a real shop.
Sure.
And she was like, oh, okay. Well, I mean, as long as you have your bloodborne pathogens and all your licensing that you need, you're good to go. And so it's like, okay, I just wanted
Is
to
that
clear
not
the air.
a rite of passage though? Because you also mentioned tattooing your leg, and I feel like from a lot of tattoo artists that I'm familiar with, like they've given themselves tattoos, and in particular when you say the leg, that that almost feels like a rite of passage, like for a tattoo artist, like tattooing themselves, like because that's like the first, like it's the
Right.
canvas is right there, you can reach it, you know, and
Yeah, yeah, definitely. My thighs are covered.
okay, and even the rest,
um,
like you're mentioning doing it in people's homes or places, or let me rephrase that. What is the technical route?
like
Are there schools
going
for tattoos?
there is now, what I'm saying, but like if you talk to like an old school traditional tattooer that has gone through the apprenticeship and the hardships that they did, they frown upon that because it's like, oh, you're giving away the tattoo secrets of the industry, that we work so hard for, and it's blah 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 blah. It's like you would, okay, first of all, they're gonna do it regardless if they have the knowledge or not, because a lot of them are like that. And wouldn't you rather them do it right instead of them messing up somebody and then yeah, maybe they come to you and fix it, but like why would you want that? You know what I'm saying? You want them to at least do it right the first time, and and people get that stigma like, oh my god, they're gonna take a piece of my pie, what I'm saying, out of my tattoo money. And it's like they live thousands
There's
of
enough
miles
audience
away,
out
bro. They're like, there's so much out there that like, if they want you, they want you. They're gonna come to you. Like I have people that fly across states to get tattooed by me, which is awesome. You know what I'm saying? I feel honored, and it's not even like huge pieces. It'll be like an hour's worth of tattooing, and I'm like, man, that's crazy to me that you would travel this far. I mean, like I know you got family here and you have other plans too, but the fact that you come this way still is pretty awesome, and I feel privileged to even do that. Um, But as far as like the traditional route, yeah, the apprenticeship, you have to like find a friend who's in the industry, or maybe like hang around a tattoo shop long enough for someone to be cool enough to maybe want to teach you, and if they're ready or if they want, or there's so many things that you have to like go right your way to find that one special, like, oh my god, you're giving me a chance. And I've seen so many in the past couple of years that I've worked at the shop that like they just kind of get that like, oh yeah, I got it, and now I'm an artist. And you're like, no, no, no. First, got to learn. You're not there yet. But I've seen so many burn out so fast, and I'm like, man, that's so crazy to me. That route of, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm like, I'm gonna just make my own lane, and that's what I did. And I just went, and then I can't explain as far as like I just did it, and I don't know how to explain of how to do it. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, I just found a way. And luckily Carrie gave me the opportunity, and that's what
Yes.
gave me the step up. So I mean, it is just that little bit of luck, but it is pushing so much to get to where you want to go. Because if I look back even 5 years ago, 6 years ago, thinking now of like how I am today, I'm like, it's not imaginable, because I was like, I wouldn't have been able to think, you know, how
Yes.
I've come that to where I am, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And so uh it's just, I just tell people like, if you want to do it, just do it. Whether it's basket weaving or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Like if you truly are passionate about whatever, try to figure out a way to make that a way to live off of. You know what I'm saying? If you're really wanting to, you know what I'm saying? Like if you're not saying try, I don't go to tattooing to try to be rich or anything. I like, I truly love tattooing. Love just whatever the image is. I mean, there are the mundane, you know, Roman numerals and butterflies, but like I'm still going to give you the best that I can do on you. You know what I'm saying? Whatever it is, I'm still going to give you the best tattoo possible. But uh I don't
So
know, just if
are
you
you
have
still in
passion.
that Cowboys tattoo shop or are you somewhere else now?
I was so they have three locations. They have one in McKinney, the one in Colony, and then one in Dallas, which is Lucky Sevens. But I work at the Colony now. I started out at the McKinney shop, and now I'm at the Colony. Um, it's a little smaller, but it's more open. It's you know, like in restaurants, how they have the open kitchen where
Yes.
you can kind of, yeah, that's kind of how this is. Where like there's no rooms, it's all just open. Everybody's out on the floor.
Cool.
It's pretty cool. Uh, it makes it more personal, but you can kind of hear everybody else's conversations too.
Yeah, so you get cross chatter and stuff and
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah,
that's kind of fun. Makes it a nice vibe. Everyone's kind of jamming together.
yeah.
And what's that like? You know, I guess a little bit both for you in the shop. Like, what's a typical day like, start and end, and what's it like for the people? Are most of the people coming in with appointments, or are they coming right off the street and they're just saying, "Hey, I want something."
I mean, the shop itself, yeah, it gets a lot of mix of walk-ins. You know what I'm saying? I'm I try to book appointments. You know what I'm saying? I'm usually like 1 to 2 weeks booked out, unless it's something small that I can kind of squeeze in between. You know what I'm saying? But I really like to know beforehand what I'm doing for the day, whether it's bigger pieces or a bunch of smaller pieces. You know what I'm saying? If it is like a bunch of like if I have an appointment that's like a bunch of smaller pieces, I'll try to group that with other, you know, appointments together, so I'm not having to do like one giant 8 hour piece and then a couple little ones right after or in between. I'm good. But
Did some of
as
that
far
come
as,
with that?
I'm
That
sorry.
sounds to me that just sounds like professional in some ways. Like, did some of that come? Did you learn some of that to even to schedule your days that way? Like, kind of
Yeah, there was
come.
when I first started at the first shop in McKinney, there was this artist Polo, who's like consistently booked out. I'm talking about like 4 or 5 months booked out all the time.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, I want to be like Polo as far as his scheduling, because I was like, he's comes in and he works, X amount of times. It's usually like he'll do half sleeves or full sleeves, in one sitting, and then he goes about his day and then does it again tomorrow. And it's like, man, I can totally get down with that. But I didn't want to do his style, you know what I'm saying? Because he's more like black and gray realism, lions, tigers, and all that.
Bears and
I
lions.
like doing that, but not typically my favorite style. You know what I'm saying? Like I like the more weird and other side of life kind of stuff. Um, but as far as scheduling goes, that's what I was like, I'm gonna be like him. And so like my first year, I was just taking every client I could, like, oh, you don't want that guy? You don't want to do that script? I'll take him. I'm gonna make him my customer. I'm just gonna take them all. And my first year, I was just from 12 or 2, when we opened, so when we closed and even past, I was just like doing like 10 tattoos a day, just trying to get as many people as I could.
Oh,
And that built up my clientele. Like when I first started, like at Cowboys, my Instagram was like 130 followers. And
okay.
now it's at like 630. It's like right under 630. I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, so in 2 years, I got about 500 followers.
Yep.
And most of them are not like they're not they're all like clients, or they're all friends of clients. Like they're all people that I actually know and
Word of
have
mouth
had tattooed.
either.
Right.
Correct.
They're not paid bots, or what I'm saying, like they're, because I don't like to hashtag a lot of things or anything. So I just keep it all natural. Like if you like it, you like it. If you don't, that's fine. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Cool.
Um so that, yeah, so I'm just kind of building up that word of mouth. And uh yeah, I mean, it's been wild because um the just the progression, because I'm always, my thought process behind it is just be better than I was yesterday, and just improve and improve and improve. I'm not trying to be better than anybody. I wasn't trying to outshine anybody or anything. It's just me outshining yesterday.
Yep.
That's all it
Yep.
was.
That's beautiful. Uh,
Yeah.
on that outshining yourself, what's like maybe one thing that you noticed from your early days to where you are now that maybe you're proud of yourself about, like one aspect of it, or some place where you've seen something that just stood out to you, like, I did all right here. I like this, or
Yeah, what's crazy to me is there's times when I'm like really proud of a tattoo, and I'm like, man, this is the one. This is the one.
uh-huh.
And then like I put it up, and it's a couple likes, and I'm like, okay, okay. And then there's ones where I'm like, I'm gonna put this one up. I'll put it up. And then it's like, I'm like, what? Okay, I'm just gonna post everything. It don't matter. Whatever, you know what I'm saying? Because it's crazy to me how some, like I did this little random little tattoo. I'm talking maybe a 20-minute tattoo on some girl. It was like her first one. I didn't know anything. I didn't know the backstory about this tattoo,
Okay.
but I didn't take a picture of it because I was like, okay, it's just some random tattoo, whatever. And apparently she did and posted it, and it was apparently some anime, like some artist in Japan, some
Okay.
famous anime drawing. And so she posted it and tagged her in it, and then blew up. And I was like, what? What? Because she hit
You
me up and
tapped
was like,
into
I
a
want another
world.
tattoo. And I was all like, no way. That is, I mean, you just never know the significance, you know, like of a tattoo. And that's how I kind of treat people, where like it doesn't matter the size or whatever, what I'm saying? Like as far as like you don't know what they are or who they are, what I'm saying? Like back in the day when I was serving tables, what I'm saying? Like that table could potentially give you $500, or it could give you $5. You don't
Okay.
know. But
Yeah.
again, treat them like they're giving you $500 every time, and you're going to be surprised. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yep.
and that's just kind of how it is. It's like, I'm trying to give you the best tattoo. If you come with a picture, I'm going to try to outdo that picture every single time for you, you know?
Yeah.
So, and yeah, and as far as the art goes and pricing yourself, that was the very difficult part in the beginning because it was like, you know, how do you, you're like, yeah, it took me X amount of time to draw this and I enjoy drawing it. I don't know. How would you put money on that? You know what I'm saying? Because you're going based on what that you've previously made at a job. Like, oh, I made $15 an hour. And you're like, that's art. That's not the same. You know what I'm saying? It's not like you physical labor or anything. So it was very hard at the beginning. So it's like finding a balance of like, what, you know, are you going to pay for the quality, or are you paying, or are you charging for time, or are you charging for experience? You know what I'm
Yes.
saying? Like, and so then it's like, okay, I kind of find a middle ground. And at the very beginning, I was undercutting myself just to get as many clients as I could. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? It
Yeah.
was just like, okay, just to get you in the door and I want you to keep coming back, I'm going to try to give you quality tattoos at a very lower price. And then now it's more of like, okay, I got to step it up a little bit as far as like, I'm not trying to rob anybody as far as money goes, but I do want to get paid a little bit for my time and quality, but not still, I'm not trying to be rich off tattoos,
Sure.
as far as like your one tattoo, I'm not trying to be rich off one tattoo. I would love to have
Dive a
that,
little bit deeper,
but
though. I want you to dive a little bit deeper because I feel like this is an area that all artists face in whatever their discipline is. So, kind of, can you go a little deeper on where you've landed, or what your model is? Because I've heard you say a little bit about time, a little bit about maybe covering expenses or something. And is that something? Do you have expenses at the shop that you're at? Do you have to pay a shop rent?
oh
And
yeah, that is a lot of shops do. They'll either do a booth rent, or they'll take a percentage. A lot of shops I've seen are like 50-50. So
okay.
whatever, you charge, they take 50%. And that means that they usually cover pretty much everything other than your inks, your needles, your machines. They'll provide like gloves, ointments, paper towels, the setup probably as far as like chairs go, maybe.
Hmm.
Um, and then there's other, shops that do take smaller cuts. They'll do 60-40, 70-30s. And then at that point, if you are getting a shop that is paying less, what I'm saying, or taking a less cut,
Yes.
now you're paying for all your supplies as far as gloves, ink caps, ointments. And it it's crazy because there are it does cost, whether your tattoo takes 5 minutes, like even if it is one needle, you got to break that down as far as like, it's not just one needle, it's an ink cap, it's ointment, it's wrapping for your machines, your wrappings for your cords, your power supplies, it's wrapping for your chair, it's wrapping for your setup machines, it's wrapped up for your bottles. The like there's so many involved. Even if it is a 5 minute tattoo, like it takes like 15, 20, sometimes longer just to set up, even. And so that comes into play too. And then people like shops have like shop minimums where like ours is like 100. And it seems like a lot, so I try to tell people, get more or get bigger, or I'm willing to work with you as far as getting more for that your buck, because I do get it. If you come in for a star, for $100, that seems like a lot. So yeah, get a couple stars or get something else too, and I'm definitely down for that because it doesn't take any time versus me doing 30 minutes of setup and you're 5 minutes in and out, and it's just like, okay, cool, that was an hour of time for a hundred
For sure.
dollars
Yeah.
but we could have definitely, I'm definitely more willing to do more for them because like I said, I know you came in for your half a butterfly with your best friends, what I'm saying, but get that other half too, or you know
Awesome. You're gonna you're gonna grow and evolve. You want the full butterfly for yourself.
yeah. um
Um, what are some interesting places that you've either done a tattoo, meaning on the body, and also maybe location where you were while you tattooed?
Oh man. Um, I've tattooed some the weirdest spot, I guess, as far as like um just creepy, I guess, because I was literally tattooing another artist, one of my friends, Raul. He wanted a tattoo like right under his eyelid.
Wow.
And I'm right in there and I'm literally trying to like tattoo and I can see out of my peripherals him look at me
Mm-hmm.
and I like I just feel his eyes like on me and he's really close and I just stop and I'm like, please don't do that. And then he looks at me, he's like, I could feel the needle pushing off my eye. And I was all like, please don't tell me that. I was like, that's
That sounds
very creepy for me. Yeah. He was like, he wanted like 100 miles an hour on his eye. And I was like, yeah, I'll do that. But it was very like onto the eyelid, I'm
yeah.
like, okay, yeah. Um, as far as crazy other places, I mean, nothing too crazy. I mean, I do have a story where like a friend, I was tattooing a guy and his friend was there and was all like, what if I paid for you to get my name on your butt? And I was in my head, I'm like, please don't be serious. Please don't be serious. And he's all like, I mean, if you're paying for it, might as well. And I was like,
Uh,
and so I was like, what's the name? And he was like, Skeeter. And I was like,
Skeeter on
hey,
the. Okay.
on his butt. And but that's not even the worst part. So like I have to shave this guy, and this guy, I've never seen someone so hairy, where like the hair is forming a thong and it's like perfect thong hair. Like it was disturbing. And I have to shave this little patch real quick and
Yeah.
put the stencil on. And I'm like, let's get this guy out of here.
That's what
Please.
Thanksgiving dinner's.
Yeah. And they're just laughing. And I'm like, this is not funny. You know,
Yeah. How did I end up in this part of the?
yeah, this is not cool for me.
Yeah. Totally.
uh,
Uh,
yeah.
do you visit tattoo expos or shows, and have you done any tattoos like at those types of places?
Um, actually, we've been the shop's actually been talking about doing that because we've actually a couple of artists have been thinking about doing that, and me and a friend we're going to do that. We wanted to do one closer to like San Antonio or New Braunfels,
Hmm.
but he's actually in a couple weeks going to one. It's like what is it? It's closer to Mexico. It's like deep in the valley. What I'm
Sure.
saying? It's
Cool.
like, and I was like, that's a little far for me right now with the wife and kid. Saying to leave for a little bit, but in June, I believe that one in New Braunfels is going down, and I'm going to try to get into that one because to go there because I remember being there before tattooing, and getting a tattoo there, and that'd be a cool full circle to actually be
Yes.
working it,
That
you
would,
know.
have you tattooed the wife?
Oh yeah, she was like, I mean, besides me at the beginning, she was pretty much, a guinea pig too,
Oh,
practice
both.
runs and
Yeah.
um but now, yeah, now she's gotten so much more awesome work done and she has more tattoos than I do.
Okay. Wow. Okay. That's cool.
Yeah,
And
she's actually I was gonna say she's actually started kind of practicing, kind of teaching herself too, on her free time.
hmm
But she's actually when she let me do my passion and dreams, I was able to provide for us and be a sole income. And I said, well, since you're a stay-at-home mom, why don't you go back to school and then, we can get this degree, as far as whatever you're wanting to do. And she wanted to get a business degree because eventually we hope to open up our own shop, I'm saying, and, do that in the future.
Yeah.
And so that's what she's going to school for right now is, getting that business side in and I'm doing the artist side. So definitely will be a powerhouse at the end.
Yeah. That's super cool. That's super cool. Yeah. That's That sounds like a nice fit, and it sounds like just amazing that you had somebody, come in and be so supportive of you, kind of going after your dream and the vision that you wanted for yourself, and really kind of being all in on you for that. And I mean,
Yeah.
obviously, I mean, she let you tattoo on her as well. Like, I couldn't think of a more stamp of approval type thing. Like, I got you.
Yeah, no, that would, I mean, yeah, Maddie's been there through thick and thin. I definitely would not be anywhere near where I am right now without her. You know what I'm saying? It's even um as far as being a mother and everything, you know what I'm saying, with Bentley, like amazing. You know what I'm saying? Like I definitely 100% could not do this without her. You know what I'm saying? Like definitely has, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
She has definitely been there. Yeah, definitely owe her everything because she has definitely pushed me in the right direction as far as just do it. Just why not? I'm like, you're right, why not? And that's never been told to me as far as, doing something, you know what I'm saying? So I was like, okay, I definitely needed that. And yeah, definitely. Anything she asked for, I'm like, whatever you ask for. You don't even have to ask for it. You got it. I got you.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Let
definitely owe
me
her.
um let me go there because I like to talk a lot about personal development and mindset and stuff. So can you tell me, as you've gone through it, maybe mindset difficulties you faced or how you've overcome that, and maybe uh, also you touched on, even for the 5 minute tattoo, sometimes the prep is 15 minutes of like labor of work kind of setting up. But what do you do? Do you have any special routines or thing you do to psych yourself up or get yourself in the zone before you tattoo?
Oh yeah. I mean, yeah, because tattooing is I mean, as far as physical goes, yeah, we're not like building, but like the hunched over all the time, you know what I'm saying? Your back, or you know what I'm saying, like your hands hurting because you're holding the machines for hours on end.
Hmm.
Um, as far as, there's times where even if it's the smallest tattoo, sometimes that could be more mentally straining just because like fine line or dainty tattoos are more difficult because you have to be more steady, and it's a smaller needle or whatever. And so when they're like, oh, it's just a small tattoo, and you're like, sometimes that makes it even more difficult. Going bigger could be easier, but yeah, as far as mentally preparing, because sometimes it is exhausting. You have to stand up and get some new eyes, you know what I'm saying, off the tattoo. You want to go take a break and just stretch, just to refocus because sometimes, yeah, you do get tired mentally, and then quality starts lacking if you know what I'm saying, if you're into it too long and you just need to, break yourself, you know what I'm saying, sometimes just because the client is sitting through it and taking it like a champ doesn't mean that, you should be able to power through it. You know what I'm saying? You can definitely, take a break yourself and um come back at it with some fresh eyes. That way you might see shading differently or lining differently, whatever. Definitely. Because it is mental. It is definitely a mental game as far as tattooing, especially if you're doing bigger pieces, or difficult parts of the body, that don't have hand placements or spots you can steadily hold that machine, because there's areas that like it looks cool, but it's very hard to do as far as like the curvatures or the spots that don't have give, or because there's different types of skin on your whole body. It's not just like the same skin anywhere.
Yes.
um and so yeah, it is definitely that's why I think I like it so much, is because it is so challenging, what I'm saying, because it is difficult, and to make it look easy is hard. And people see you and be like, oh, I could do that, and you're like, it's a lot harder than you think. I'm
Yeah.
saying, it's not just like putting a needle in someone and running it, like it's a lot more than that. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's why I like it so much, is because it is so difficult, and you're creating and manipulating a needle to create art in a way, what I'm saying. So it's awesome, you know.
What kind of needles, what kind of equipment are you using? Like, shout out maybe some technical tools that you're
Right.
using or something.
Yeah, I mean, when I first started, my brand was masked Dragonhawk, you know what I'm saying? Because it was like an off brand. It was inexpensive. I don't want to use the word cheap because it wasn't cheap as far as quality goes. It was just inexpensive.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it was reliable at the beginning, and I still have one of mine that, you know what I'm saying, I'll still rock it every now and then because it hits really hard as far as lining goes. But over time and seeing other artists and seeing people, I've branched out and actually do Bishop now, which is another brand. Um, it's not like the most expensive brand, but it is a great brand. You know what I'm saying? They've been around a long time and they were the pioneers of rotary machines. So um, that's kind of what I
What does that
started.
mean a little bit? Tell me about a rotary machine.
So like, you know, that when you think of tattooing, you hear of like just like
Yes.
real loud machines. So those would be called coiled machines, and those are like the traditional, you know, style machines.
Mm-hmm.
And nowadays, um, they've taken away that heaviness and pretty much compacted into the rotary machine to where it's just a smaller drive engine versus like a needle just going up and down. It's like a needle on a bar, either going, you know, circular motion to go down,
Mm-hmm.
or there is a spring to, you know, I mean, there's so many different styles of rotaries now, but it is lighter on the hand now. Now you can do batteries on them. You don't have to have power supply cords if you don't want to. You know what I'm saying? You can do free hands and like you don't have things in your way.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I mean, tattooing has come a long way just in the past 10 years, you know, let alone the since thousands of years has been doing it. But uh rotaries, yeah, I mean the bishops now, the ones that I use, they're like, I mean, I wouldn't trade them for anything. I mean, they're inexpensive as far as there's other brands that are way more expensive. They go up to thousands of dollars, you know, and
Mm-hmm.
again, I don't feel like you would need that more that is a it's hard to explain. Like so Bob Ross, when he started, Bob Ross didn't have his own Bob Ross paintbrushes. You know what I'm saying? He was using whatever he had.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much how I look at it. You can, if you can manipulate that machine and those needles to make anything look like anything, it doesn't matter how much money you spent on that machine. You know what I'm saying? Like if
Mm-hmm.
your quality is there, it's gonna be there regardless of that machine or not. You know what I'm saying? I get it, like you don't want, you know, a $40 machine. Don't go professionally tattoo with the $40 machine. Definitely, but by all means. But um don't feel like you have to go out there and get some ridiculous machine to start out with. You know what I'm saying? Because
Mm-hmm.
again, I rocked my mass machine that was like on Amazon for like $80. You know what I'm saying? For a good like year, you know, and it went through a good 1,000 hours of it tattooing before I was like, okay, let me, you know, upgrade myself, you
There
know.
you have it. Uh, thousands of years old and tattoos going on forever. Have you done any other like old traditional styles of tattoos or tried anything like that? Or even
I
stick and
mean,
pokes, I think, you know, or
yeah, stick and pokes. I honestly, I would be scared to do that. As far as me wanting that, because you know, like I feel like someone who's not experienced in stick and poke, because there are artists out there that can do that really well.
Mhm.
But if you don't have that hand control, you can push too hard, and then now you have ink like going under the skin, and it looks like a bruise underneath your skin
Okay.
or shading. Like those are called blowouts. You know, what I'm saying those tend to happen if it goes too far into the, you know, skin. Um,
And does that kind of stay permanently a little bit, the blowout?
yeah, that
Yeah.
is like something irreversible other than like you putting, you know, more tattooing on top of it to cover it, you know what I'm saying? Like shading or color or whatever. But yeah, if it goes too far, depending on how far and what colors and stuff, like it could be big or it could be, you know, dot size, you know. But that's I mean, things happen, but that's only with real inexperience, I guess. You know what I'm saying, as far as blowouts go, if you're unless but again, that just different scenarios. Could be old skin, could be thin skin, could be needles sticking out too far, it could be afterwards, aftercare could have been damaged. You know what I'm saying? Like there's so many reasons that a blowout could happen actually, you know.
Okay.
But
Have
yeah.
you collaborated with somebody on the same body, like multiple tattoo artists, like tattooing parts of the same person? In particular, if
Yeah.
it's like the same drawing that you guys each took parts of?
I have not yet. I would love to. Me and another artist were definitely kicking around that idea, but no one's willing to get two artists to tattoo them at the same time. Nobody I know, at least.
And earlier you talked about Polo. Are there other artists like that are hot in your mind right now that you just like, man, I'm loving what they're putting out, or I'd like to try
Man,
something that they're doing?
yeah, I mean, there's so many artists out there as far as like who I work with intermediately. I mean, there's definitely some phenomenal artists, coming out here, but as far as like big artists, I don't there's
It wouldn't even have
there's
to
so
be
many
big
styles.
that you appreciate, you know?
Yeah, no, I mean, Jimmy May is probably one of my go-to favorites. He's this guy that's like from I think Australia, but he's out in like UK and London and New York. He's all over the place. He's a great black and gray artist. Um, Man, because there's like I said, my style is so open. I would love to just pick apart so many different styles and kind of make it my own and not because I feel like if I do create like choose a style and just want to stick to that, I feel like either I'd get bored or you know what I'm saying, or putting myself in that box and then only getting that clientele. I don't want to do that either.
Yes.
Um, because I see artists where they're like, I want to only do, lions and tigers and bears, and that's all they do. And then it kind of gets repetitive on them, and then they don't want to, I see them kind of burn out a little bit, or
Hmm.
they only want to do certain styles. And I mean, th- those styles are timeless. There's nothing against those styles in any way, but I just don't want to put myself in that box where I only do that. You know what I'm saying? Because I guess if I were to do any style, my personal style would be realism in any form of fashion, whether it is cartoons or anything. Like I try to make it more realistic because I just like details.
Yes.
Um, so when someone draw or asks me to draw like a traditional piece where it's limited details, it's very hard for me to think that way because my brain wants to put in fine details and shading and shadows and all this other stuff. So I can do it. I'm not saying I can't draw that way. It would just take me a little bit more time and research because I don't usually draw. Um, but I'm not opposed again. It's just I would do my research and actually follow the rules of how what I'm saying they draw or what I'm saying with Japanese or American traditional or anything. I'd try to just do the research first so I don't want anybody else to be pointed out. Like if you were to walk around and be like, "Oh, that's not how that's supposed to be." I'm actually, I love this and blah blah blah, but I would love it to be correct. You know what I'm saying? So no one gets called out in the future on something that I did, you know, and be like, "Oh, your artist should have known. You should have done this." And it's like, "Oh, ooh, my bad. Should have known."
Dang. What about, do you have like a dream tattoo either that you'd like to get for yourself on your own self, or some idea
Mm.
that maybe you've been like painting a picture in your mind for a long time of one tattoo that you just think, man, I'd love to give this to somebody?
Man, that's like this is kind of like the question that I get too, where it's all like someone walks in and they're like, "Yeah, just put something on my body," and I'm like, "Know who you are though? Like, I don't know what you like. I don't know what you don't like." And so I can only think of when that question happens is like, the scene in the Matrix, right? Where they're like in the blank white room and they're like, "What's going on?" He's like, "I need guns, lots of guns." And then like those rows of guns start happening. So
Okay.
when someone's like, "I want a tattoo," I'm in
Yes.
that blank room and I'm
Yes.
like, "Okay, uh give me some sort of direction, like a rabbit. Okay. Okay, what kind of rabbit? Realism cartoon, you know what I'm saying? Like, what are
Uh-huh.
you wanting? You know what I'm saying? Like, let me go that route because again, when you're telling me like just draw me something, I'm like blank fields.
Okay.
I'm like I have no idea. Like I
There's too
because I
many.
don't know them personally.
Yeah.
It's too vague for me. Give me a. You were like, I want an eagle, and you're like, okay, cool, 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 cool. And that kind of reminds me of like this guy walking in, and he's all like, it was kind of late at night, and he's all like, I want a tattoo, and I was like, okay, what's a tattoo? And he's all like, I want an octopus holding a razor blade, cutting his birth date into himself. And I was like,
Oh, bro.
for real? For real?
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah. And I was like, do you have like a picture of it? And he's like, no. And I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna have to draw that out of nowhere. I was like, so we're gonna have to like let's schedule that. I'm saying? Like let's schedule that out. I'm saying? I would definitely love to do that. That sounds crazy. I'm saying? Sounds cool.
Yeah.
But let's put that for another day. I'm saying? And he was like, okay, how about this butterfly? I was like,
How did you go from
complete
that?
180.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, okay, yeah. And then like I was like, okay, let's put this butterfly on you. And then 2 minutes in, he kind of shakes, and I was like, whoa, come on, man, I'm tattooing you. You can't do that.
Uh-huh.
And then he settles down, and then I get back to it, and then shakes again, and then boom, drops to the floor. I was like, his friend's there, and he's all like, what happened? I was like, I don't know, man, help me pick him back up. We get him up to the chair, and I was like, yo, man, you okay? What's wrong? And he's like, what happened? I was like, you tell me, man, you passed out. And I was like, have you eaten today? And he's all like, oh yeah, man, I ate twice this week. I was like,
This week.
this week?
Where are
No, I
you?
mean like how many oh, today. How much have you eaten today?
Uh,
And he's like, man, and that's I guess what it was. What I'm saying? I got like a soda, got him some popsicles, and just like chilled him out for a little bit. Got some, got the blood back to his face, and and I was like, oh man, all right, you ready to continue this? And he's like, yeah, all right, cool, all right, let's get this butterfly on you. And I never saw him again. I never got to do that octopus. That was,
yeah.
really wanted to do that octopus. But that, man, I've told that story so many times because it is just a crazy story that, you know, he went from I wanting that to passing out on a butterfly.
And I suppose it's like, a bartender. Somebody orders a drink, even if it sounds weird, you make them the drink, So just him coming in with the octopus cutting his birthday into him, that's not enough to say like, oh, I think this guy's gonna pass out on me, or it's
Yeah,
just
yeah,
a person getting a tattoo.
yeah, for real. Let me get a whiskey straight. And then he just drops after the first whiskey straight. You're like, oh, what happened? Why did he order that then? He just
Yeah.
started with a beer. Yeah,
What's
no, it's funny.
what's next for you in tattooing? Is there a certain place you want to go, or is there some new technique or new equipment you want to use, or are you just in a good? You're really just appreciating where you are.
I mean, I do appreciate where I'm at. I've seen, I've seen some videos of how like they're doing medical things with the tattooing now, like where it can I don't know how they're I don't know exact science about it, but the nanotechnology about it where the ink is reactive to the body heat. And so like
Mhm.
you kind of tattoo yourself the thermometer on your body. And if you were to like get a fever, what I'm saying, that tattoo would pop. What I'm saying?
Wow.
Um that would be kind of crazy. Or they've had where um where it can conduct electricity somehow by
Hmm.
implanting some sort of ink for people with pacemakers, what I'm saying, so they can charge pacemakers instead of having to get replaced something on them. Again, that's crazy, but tattooing is going in such a way that like it could be possible, what I'm saying, to do more than just the art, you know. Um, I mean, I've put definitely like diabetic um tattoos on people, stuff where they don't want to have to carry their chains, you know what I'm saying, their wristbands. They don't want to have to wear all that anymore. So
Hmm.
they get the tattoos on their bodies to let them know if anything were to happen to them, you know what I'm saying? Uh, Definitely, that's awesome. That's something new that I never really thought of, you know.
You seen
Um,
the people that have like a mastectomy and their breasts are cut off and those tattoos to like cover that and stuff?
right, the scars and stuff. Yeah. That I mean, with scarring too, that what's crazy is like scars can go either way. Like they can take that ink really well or they don't. And they can hurt really bad or they won't. It's crazy. Yeah, I've seen a lot of work done where those scars get covered up beautifully with like flowers and stuff. I've definitely done some cover ups as far as scars go. Some guy just came to me and was wanting like a zipper to be put onto his big old scar, saying to look like it was being zipped up.
Yeah,
And
those are
I thought
fun.
that was really cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, it's I just gotta let them know because I mean, you don't know until you get into that scar, depending on where that scar is or how old that scar is. But um, yeah, the tattooing scars are definitely different from the feeling of whenever you're pulling the line in the skin and then you're going across that scar. It feels almost like it's going through nothing, and it kind of almost goes faster a little bit because you're pulling at a speed, and then and you're like, oh,
okay.
yeah, it's pretty
So
trippy.
skating on ice now or something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Where can people find you right now if people want to find you online or in person to get a tattoo from you or to see your work? Where can people find you?
Yeah, so if you have Instagram, it is www.instagram.com/Ryan Sherwood Tattoos. Um, you can find that also Ryan Sherwood Tattoos on Facebook.
Yes.
Um, TikTok, I believe it's under Wicked Voodoo Inc. because that
We
was
can
like an
do
old
Inc.
LLC.
Okay.
Or Ryan Sherwood Tattoos. Like I'm all over. Just look up Ryan Sherwood Tattoos. There's also, I mean, you'll if you Google me, you're gonna come up with two Ryan Sherwoods that actually tattoo,
Okay.
and one's in Illinois and one is me. But I'm in the colony in Texas. But yeah, Cowboys Tattoo Two.
Okay.
That would be the location right now that I'm at in the colony. And yeah, if you want to look up my work, definitely. I mean, I do, like I said, I mean, sticker style, black and gray, I'm all over the place. I like to keep it open. So if you have something crazy, even if it is a butterfly, and if you let me do my thing, I promise it'll be awesome.
Awesome. And I kind of want to close out a little bit, but I want to ask you to the next tattooist. Is it how you'd say it? Tattooist.
Yeah, tattooist, tattooer, tattoo artist. Yeah, I mean, there's so many things. Yeah,
So to the next
tattoo.
artist coming up in the tattoo game, in the tattoo space, what are some things that you would tell them?
Don't like it is yeah, you'll get told no a lot. You know what I'm saying? And especially if you go the apprenticeship route, you're I've seen people put through hell for no reason. If just push through that, you know what I'm saying? Rise above all that negativity
Yes.
because if you truly want to do it, you're gonna do it. You know what I'm saying? And if you're truly meant for it, it's gonna happen for you. You just gotta push yourself and just tell yourself that you gotta be better than the last day. And you're not competing against anybody because there's always gonna be someone better than you, definitely always.
Yeah.
But just be better than how you were yesterday and don't let anybody tell you no and just don't accept that. You know what I'm saying? Just if you truly want to do it and you truly feel like you have it and you can do it and you can progress, go for it. Just do it. Don't let anybody stand in your way. It is going to take a little bit of luck too. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to lie. You'll have to find someone to give you that little bit of opportunity. You
Hmm.
know what I'm saying? But if you are already have friends in the tattoo world, definitely reach out to them. You know what I'm saying? But if you're new to the game and you don't have any tattoos or you do have some, go back to that place if you do like that shop. You know what I'm saying? If you felt like you vibed with some of those artists, you know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? Just try to connect and ask those questions, because sometimes they might be looking for an apprentice. You never know. You know what I'm saying? It's never like it's never, it doesn't hurt to ask, because all they're going to say is no, and that's just move on and keep going, because there's 1,000 shops out there and there's a million artists out there that are willing to give you a little bit of knowledge, if not help you out along the way too, because you know what I'm saying, there's, like I said, there's plenty of opportunities. You just got to be willing to make that jump, and that's what scares people too, is making that jump, that initial, oh my god, what if I fail? It's okay, because you're going to.
Yes.
No one's perfect the first time ever. You're
Yeah.
definitely gonna suck. I promise you, those tattoos are not gonna look good. But if you push and you push and you push, you will get there if you want to. If you want to, definitely.
Right on, man. Right on. I appreciate you greatly, man. I love you. I love you for sharing your passion, your art, your time. You're sharing your time with
Ooh,
me here, and whoever comes across and listens and hears this, and hopefully inspire the next person. And just in
man,
hearing you, I can hear that vibe of get better every day, and just outpace just yourself every day. And I love that.
yeah,
And man, you know I don't know if I'm ready for another tattoo right now. I have a couple tattoos, and I will say I got one
no,
the most recently. I got one from my own sister, and
oh nice,
yeah, so that was special and pretty awesome. And man, everybody I know that has tattoos, it's like they're addicting, So it's like,
yeah. You go in for one, and you might as well just get four. You
yeah,
know,
totally, totally. So, yeah. Well, man, I
man.
just
But
want to say, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I appreciate you for having me on here, man. This is super fun. I mean, for real, like it is just to get a platform, you know what I'm saying, to just to, you know what I'm saying, express the passion that, someone has, you know what I'm saying. You having the passion to spread the word for other artists is amazing, you know what I'm saying. I love that. I love your platform. I've, saying, been behind it since the beginning,
Thank you.
you know what I'm saying,
Yeah.
continuing to push forward.
Yeah, definitely. Well, it's. I feel like it's what it's all about. Like you're saying, I used to work in a kitchen, garmager section, making salads and desserts, and I had a piece of masking tape that you put on your mise en place, like little deli containers with your chopped stuff, and
Hmm.
I wrote Kaizen, which is essentially that you know
Oh yeah, what is
improve
that?
every
What is
day
that?
kind of.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Improve every
Yeah,
day.
and I stuck that in my station, and I looked at it, and you know how sometimes you get on an idea or you get on something even before you really properly internalize it. But that was where I was in that moment. I stuck it in my station and I looked at it every day because I really wanted to improve daily, and
Hmm.
across all the arts, across whatever it is that we do to express. I just think that is so important, and what feeds us too, in the sense of, like, staying hungry and going after sharpening, like if it's me sharpening a video, making it better, or whatever it is. So I'm happy to have you. I'm happy to talk to anybody about what it is that excites them and gets them giving back to the world and stuff. So and I
I
just,
appreciate you.
yeah, man, I wish the most success for you, like, and by that, how you determine your own success, like I mean it that way. And I'll definitely still keep rooting for you and following you, and who knows, maybe at some point we'll connect and we'll get some ink on skin, um
Yeah, definitely. We got to do that tattoo thing we were talking about, that, you know what I'm saying, that pineapple platform, you know what I'm saying, convention or something.
yeah, 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 maybe we'll set up some kind of expo or something, where, like, a pop-up tattoo event,
That would be sick,
yeah,
bro.
yeah, that'd be
So
awesome.
cool.
That'd be super cool. Well, man, is there any last message you'd like to share, or anything that you'd like to let people know, either about you or about tattoos, or?
I mean, I just appreciate y'all listening. I mean, I don't, I'm just some small artist right now, just beginning in the game. I mean, as far as me, like it's crazy because there's like kids that are 18, 19 years old tattooing that are been in the game already for a little bit, and I'm like almost 40 now, and I'm like, oh, I've been in the game for a little bit. Still a kid in the game, and I feel it's crazy, but if like I said, you it doesn't matter your age. You know what I'm saying? Morgan Freeman didn't start into his movies until 45, so you know what I'm saying. It doesn't matter about your age. You know what I'm saying? If you want to do something, do it. You
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. Totally. I do coaching, with all kinds of people myself as a coach, and I also, seek out coaches, for guidance and learning at all these different kinds of things. And I recently had a conversation with somebody that was like sharing with me a message of like, especially when you mention age or things like that. Um, you've already walked in all these rooms, you've been in all these places where sometimes you can want to get ahead of yourself, and by going too fast you can actually just run your own head against the wall a little bit. And that's a message
Hmm.
that kind of stuck with me, because I also feel like, small potatoes, like a beginner in my game, in my space. And even though it's like you're never starting from scratch. You're always starting from experience of all your life's
Right,
experience,
right.
but also just honoring where you are in the moment, like that's something that's really
Yeah.
in my mind, is like honor the space you're in, and just own that little slice of heaven where you are. And just put your heart into things. And yeah, I can see your heart comes through, like, totally. I love hearing all the places you've been and the way you approach it. So it's cool, man. I'm excited. I want you one more time to shout out where people can find you. So if they
Yeah, definitely.
all included
If you're
and stuff.
Yeah, if you're on Instagram, it'll be at Ryan Sherwood Tattoos. Sherwood like the forest, Robin
Yeah,
Hood. Then you have Facebook too, Ryan Sherwood Tattoos. If you're on TikTok, you could do Ryan Sherwood Tattoos, or you could do Wicked Voodoo Inc. There's two of them.
sure.
My wife does Wicked Voodoo Inc. She's great at that one.
Okay.
Then yeah, or if you want to come to the colony in Texas, you know what I'm saying? Cowboys Tattoo 2. I'm
Two.
there. You can look me up on the website, see some of my stuff, and yeah, or come in, talk to me, hit me up. I mean, yeah, uh, I'm there. Ryan Sherwood Tattoos at gmail.com. If you want to email me about some concepts and get a booking going, you know what I'm saying? Definitely. I'm
Cool.
here.
I have one more bonus question, because I'm also a father, and you mentioned your kid a couple times, and I want to know: has your child seen you tattoo, or are they at a space where they're able to conceptualize what you're doing?
Not so much. I mean, I've brought him to the shop, and he's just like he just looks at all the decorations and all the figurines and stuff. Yeah, he's not really concerned yet about like what I do. I mean, he knows the word tattoo, and he'll.
Yes.
It's funny because I have like a candle on my arm, and he
Uh-huh.
tries to smell it sometimes. Because he's only
Hilarious.
21 months. He's
Okay.
still a little young, but
Yeah.
he's so funny. He's so funny. But I can't
Awesome.
wait. I mean, even if he's interested, that would be awesome because in Texas, you only have to be 18 to get a tattoo, but in
Hmm.
Texas, you can be any age to tattoo. So
Oh, I
that's
recently
something.
seen a little girl. She seemed like 8 or 9 or
Yeah.
something, and
Hmm.
I don't know if that was in
Yeah,
Texas
because
or elsewhere, but
yeah, that was in Texas, and someone was trying to say CPS or something, trying to get involved, but it's actually not illegal in Texas as long as she's not getting tattooed. You know what I'm saying? But it is definitely legal. You know what I'm saying? As long as you're under the right licensing and stuff. Don't go do this at your home. I'm not saying this is not good at home, but you know what I'm saying, under the right mentoring, because I'm sure her dad was like an artist. That's how it was happening. You know what I'm saying? That's probably why it happened. But
yeah.
um, yeah, definitely you don't have to be 18 to start tattooing, I guess. You know what I'm saying? You just kind of have to do work around those labor laws too, because I don't know how 1099
Oh yeah.
works for under
Yeah.
18.
So no huge back pieces in one session. You can only work 4 hours.
Yeah, right.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, once again, brother, I just want to say thank you. Thank you so much for your time and
Dude, thank
everything
you
you're
so
doing.
much.
Yeah.
For real.
All
Thank
right,
you.
dude. Well, You have a good one, and I'll be sure to wrap it up. I'll share it a little bit later, and I'll add some notes and stuff. I'll put the link
Awesome.
to where you just shared. People can find you, so that way, if they're seeing it digitally, they can just click the link and get you. And man, thank you again.
Yeah, dude. Thank you, Brandon. Oh my God, it was fun, dude. We got to do one about conspiracies though. That one, you know what I'm saying? That one's pretty
Yeah.
fun.
Okay.
You know what I'm
I'm definitely
saying?
interested to hear more. I definitely do always like hearing the wild things people come up with, and
Yeah, go down the rabbit hole.
yeah, for sure. All right, man. Well, you have a wonderful rest of your day and a great weekend coming up. It's Friday here, so
You too,
just
man.
and thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you, man, bro. Freeze.
All right, I'll talk to you soon.
All right.
Later.
Later.